In this video, I'm ranking all 8 NFL teams that finished last in their division, and their chances to go worst to first. There's been 26 seasons since 2000, and 23 of those years, teams have done just this. That's 88.5% of the time. If your team finished last in their division, history shows you shouldn't abandon them yet. And the teams that qualify this season for the worst to first sweepstakes are the Saints, Giants, Browns, Raiders, Lions, Titans, Cardinals, and the New York Jets. And like I said earlier, I'm ranking all 8 of these teams from least likely to most likely. But first, please make sure to subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the NFL season. Let's start with the team that I don't think anybody has confidence in this year, the Arizona Cardinals. And let's be honest, it's a pretty simple conclusion to come to. The Cardinals went 3-14 last season, obviously finishing last in the NFC West. Their point differential was minus 133 points. That is actually terrible. The Cardinals are basically just starting over. Jonathan Gannon is gone, Mike LaFleur is in, obviously as the new head coach. The quarterback situation is just as bad as it has been the last couple years. I think Jacoby Brissett or Carson Beck is going to be the starter. They obviously drafted Jeremiah Love, who in the first preseason game looked unbelievable. He's going to be great. They have top 2 tight end in the league and Trey McBride. They still got Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't know if he's any good. People were questioning that. Michael Wilson, Kendrick Bourne. But this team just needs a lot more pieces to be competitive, especially in one of the toughest divisions in the NFL. Now, obviously, anything can happen. They got a new coach, maybe a new call. Actually, yeah, the Cardinals have no shot to win their division. Next up is the Las Vegas Raiders. Their biggest problem last year was they couldn't score. They averaged 14.2 points per game last year. They went 3-14, obviously had the number 1 overall pick in this year's past draft Fernando Mendoza. And I have the Raiders ranked this low at 7, not because they're a horrible team or they didn't really draft well or do anything in the offseason. They really did. They got Tyler Linderbaum at center. They got Kwity Paye and Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker for their linebackers. I love all this stuff, but their division is just way too hard. They have the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Denver Broncos. All 3 teams could make the playoffs. The Raiders are definitely not winning their division. But I will say, in a couple years, 2, 3, maybe 4 years, this team's going to be dangerous. Tyler Linderbaum is one of the best centers in the league. That offensive line is going to be so much better than last year. Obviously, Ashton Jeanty, who is one of the best young running backs in the league, and their offensive line was so bad last year. There were some crazy stats about Ashton Jeanty having more yards after contact than regular rushing yards or something like that because of the amount of times Ashton Jeanty was getting hit in the backfield. And you can't forget Brock Bowers, who I think is the best tight end in the NFL. And Clint Kubiak, their new head coach, coming over from the Super Bowl winning Seattle Seahawks. I'm not saying the Raiders are going to be terrible. I think they are going to be a tough out. But there's no shot they win their division with how tough it is. Coming in at number 6, I have the AFC North's Cleveland Browns. Went 5-2 last season. But their biggest problem was their offense, again like the Raiders. They were 31st in offense last year, only averaging 16.5 points per game. Their defense obviously was great, only allowing 22.5 points per game, which was good enough for 14th in the NFL. In the last couple years, this Browns team has done pretty great, honestly, in the draft. This year, Denzel Boston, Casey Concepcion, who looked great in training camp. And the Browns definitely won last year's draft, drafting Harold Fannin, Quinshon Judkins, Dylan Sampson, Mason Graham, and you cannot forget the Defensive Rookie of the Year, Carson Schlesinger. So this team has a ton of young talent, but it's falling on the quarterback. Shedeur Sanders threw 10 interceptions through 8 games last year. Deshaun Watson is back healthy, trying to battle back, but he's looked bad in training camp as well. Dylan Gabriel, yeah, that's not going to work out. The Browns have a quarterback problem. They have talent, they just have a crappy quarterback room. And kind of like the past 2 teams, the Browns division is really good. They don't have a shot to win the AFC North. Maybe sneak into a wild card in 2 years if they get quarterback play. But when you have Joe Burrow, Aaron Rodgers, and Lamar Jackson in your division, you cannot roll out Deshaun Watson at this age or this point in his career and Shedeur Sanders. I mean, the Browns have no shot. And next up is the New York Jets. I mean, honestly, this team doesn't have a shot to win their division either. They went 3-14 last year. They only scored 17 points per game last year. That's 29th in the NFL. Horrible. They allowed almost 30 points per game last year. That's 31st in most points allowed last year. But I think the Jets do have a little bit of a better chance than the previous three teams, just considering the Dolphins are going to be the worst team in the NFL. The Jets are going to finish third in their division. And if, like, say Josh Allen tears his ACL, gets hurt, Drake May gets hurt, the Jets could win a couple games in the division and get up there. Aaron Glenn's on his second year with the team. Geno Smith isn't a terrible quarterback. I mean, he played bad with the Raiders last year, but that Raiders team was horrible. Geno Smith has shown some flashes like he did in Seattle. The Jets still do have Breece Hall and Braylon Allen, who are two of the better young running backs still in the NFL. Garrett Wilson still is one of the top wide receivers, maybe top 15 wide receiver. And the offensive line wasn't terrible. But honestly, it's not like this offense needs to put up 30 points a game. They just need to stop giving up 30 points a game, really. Minkah Fitzpatrick is going to have his first full year with the Jets. They obviously drafted David Bailey out of Texas Tech. But yeah, when you have a Super Bowl team of last year and the Buffalo Bills, who's been knocking on the Super Bowl for the last 5 or 6 years, yeah, the Jets really don't have a shot to win their division, but I like them here at the 5 spot. Now at the number 4 spot, a team like the Tennessee Titans, I think can really take the next steps this year and really contend for that AFC South division. The Titans really did an overhaul of their whole team, if we're being honest. New head coach, new OC, new quarterbacks coach, a bunch of new players around Cam Ward, who's entering his second year. And Cam Ward showed tons of flashes last year. He just didn't have a ton of help around him. Obviously, they hired Robert Saleh, Brian Daboll as the new OC, who I think is going to help Cam Ward immensely. If you remember when Josh Allen took his next step early in his career, Brian Daboll was actually his OC in Buffalo. And I actually love what the Titans did this offseason. They drafted Carnell Tate in the first round. They tried to draft some pieces and get some pieces in free agency for their offensive line, although I think their offensive line is going to continue to struggle just a little bit. And they really tried to continue to put pieces around Cam Ward, Wan'Dale Robinson, Alec Iomanner, DK's still there, Calvin Ridley, Carnell Tate, as I said. And they also did some work on the defensive side of the ball, and I think with Bob Saleh, that defense is going to be fine. It all comes down to their offense, really, and if that offensive line can hold up. Next, the New York Giants are one of the more realistic teams to go from worst to first. Jackson Dart taking a next step, Cam Scatterbo coming back healthy, Malik Neighbors coming back healthy, new coach in John Harbaugh. He brought over Isaiah Likely and Patrick Ricard from Baltimore. Can you imagine Patrick Ricard and Cam Scatterbo lining up in the ISO formation? Are you serious? Those aren't the only people they added for Jackson Dart this offseason. Calvin Austin from the Steelers was a really big piece of that offense last year. Darnell Mooney, who was a big piece of the Falcons. Malachi Fields out of Notre Dame, who I wanted my team to draft. The Giants' defense last year was actually super underwhelming. I expect them to continue to get better this year. Arvell Reese, Tremaine Edmonds in the middle at linebacker. That's awesome. Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau coming off the edge. That's awesome. The Giants' biggest offseason move was trading Sexy Dexy away to the Bengals, but I do think they filled in his spot with DJ Reader and Shelby Harris pretty well. I think with John Harbaugh coming in and bringing stability, and if the Giants can stay healthy this year and their defense cannot be underwhelming like it was last year, I think they could definitely be in contention for the NFC East. The Eagles are still good, but they did lose A.J. Brown, and Jalen Hurts still has a lot to prove to most people. I think the Cowboys are actually going to have a pretty solid year this year, but it's the Cowboys. Who knows? The Giants could actually be in the running for this division. Number 2, I have the New Orleans Saints. They are my favorite sleeper team on this list. They went 6-11 last season, and honestly not the best division. I think this team really turned the corner in the second half of last season when Tyler Shuck came into play. He's looking like one of the most important players on the Saints team. They drafted Jordan Tyson to go along with Chris Olave, which is great. The Saints are a pretty solid team all around, but this isn't a very good division. The NFC South isn't a division where you need to win 13 or 14 games to win. The Panthers won it last year going 8-9. And that's why the Saints come in at number 2 in this list. They aren't trying to end world hunger, they're just trying to win 10 games. And finally, I think the team most likely and the most obvious team to go from worst to first is the Detroit Lions. This is the craziest stat I have heard in a long time. The NFC North was so good. All 4 teams were so good. The Lions finished 9-8 last year, finishing 4th in their division. The Lions scored 481 points. That's 28 points per game last year. 4th best in the NFL, a plus 68 point differential, and they were last in the division. How crazy is that? This Lions team is basically the same core that just went 15-2 in 2024. Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, Penei Sewell, Aiden Hutchinson. The Lions' problem was their defense last year. They dealt with a ton of injuries, and I think they kind of addressed that in the draft and in free agency this year, and I'm really happy with what they did in the offseason for their defense. I think Lions are the best bet to go from worst to first in their division this year. That's it. That's all 8 teams. I think the Lions have the best chance to go from worst to first in their division. Please make sure to like and comment down below, and make sure to subscribe. Like I said, I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the NFL season.